All right, so yeah, there's two types of division, box division and synthetic division. Today we're going to use box division, okay? Okay, so first one, example. So use box division when you're dividing 6x cubed plus 11x squared plus 24x plus 7. You're dividing by, right? So it's in words. So if it wasn't in words, this is what it would look like, right? It would look like 6x3 plus 11x squared plus 24x plus 7, and then it's being divided by 3x plus 1, right? That's what you're used to seeing, right? That's what it says, just in words instead. Okay? All right, so first thing we do when we're dividing by using box is we build a box. Okay, we're used to building boxes, right? You guys used boxes 2 by 2, 3 by 3. You guys did those in your notes a couple weeks ago. But we're going to use division. So we're not going to build the whole box. We're going to build just half of the box, and we'll build it as we go. So we're going to build half of the box. Okay, so start with half the box. Kind of looks like a division symbol. Kind of looks like the division symbol, right? That's not a coincidence. It's supposed to. Okay, so what do? Well, we start with the divisor. The divisor, we're going to move this side. That's going to be outside the house, right? Like 4 is outside the house. We're going to build this outside the house. Well, it's two terms. So we're going to have 3x, and I'm going to have a positive 1. Okay? And then we're going to divide them, since it's 2. We're going to divide it up into 2 sections. So we're going to build the box as we go. Okay, first step. That's the first step, the setup. Second step. Now we're going to start to do division. First term, the first guy, right? This is the first guy. The first term was 3x3, or 6x3. That guy's going to go here. That guy's going to go there. So 6x3 goes there. Okay? Next thing we do is we do some mental math. This guy times this guy is going to make 6x to the third power. So what times 3 makes 6, first of all? 2. So we're going to have a 2 out in front. Good. How many powers do I need to match the yellow? 2. Good. Now what do? We multiply. We multiply this guy times this guy, and we get 2x squared, right? We're going to put that here. Oops, where'd it go? Close off that section of the box. Okay. Go to the next one. The next color. So when I use different colors, that's what I want you guys to use. I forgot to say, sorry. So you don't have to color this one in, but the next one color in. You can if you want. So we're going to color in. So pick one of your colors. Or if you have color pencils, you can just circle. You don't have to shade in, you can circle. So we're going to color this guy and make him look like this guy. Those two together, those two greens, when I add them up, this should be squared. Sorry, this should be squared. I forgot to do it earlier. Sorry. These two greens, when I add them up, need to equal this green here. Okay? Yeah, when I add them together, inside the box, we combine like terms. So when I add these two green guys up, they need to make 11x squared. So what was it? I heard it? 9, right? We need positive 9. So we're going to put positive 9x squared. Mental math, multiplication. 3 times what number makes 9x squared? 3x, right? 3x, good. So positive 3x. Multiply. 3x times 1 makes positive 3x. Close the box. Move on to the next color. So once you do that, grab another color. Okay, so now the next color, this guy plus this guy needs to make this guy, 24x. 24x. So what number, 3x plus what makes 24? 21, right? So this is going to be positive 21x. Okay? Mental math. 3x times what makes 21x? 7, right? And then 7 times 1 makes 7. Close off the box. We're done with the box. We're not done with the problem because I still haven't shaded 7 out there, right? But the last column isn't part of the box. The last column is called the remainder column. The remainder column. Okay, so we're going to use another color. So get another color. We're going to shade 7 with that. So 7 and this number have to make 7. So 7 plus what number makes 7? 0. So the remainder is 0. We did not have a remainder. No remainder. We're done. All the colors are shaded. We're done. So notice I put the top. So when you're doing 4 into 19, where do you put your answer? Where does the answer go? Does it go down here? Does it go up here? Does it go to the side? How do I know where the answer is if I have this problem here? It goes to the top, right? This is where you look for the answer, right? Where is that guy on ours? The top, yep. It's in the same spot. So this is our answer. 2x squared plus 3x plus 7. There was no remainder, so I don't need to include that. We're done. Okay. All right, let's do number 2. Number 2 is also division. Anytime it says division, you can use the box. Next week, I'm going to show you a different version of division. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. Okay? It's just I show you 2 types of division because some people like box, some people like synthetic, which we're going to show you next week. Just depends on whatever you like. Okay? Okay. So the first thing is build the box, but we're only going to build half. Start with half. We're only going to build half. Okay. The divided by guy is going to go in the front. So this guy is going to go here. X plus 2. Okay, since it's a binomial, I'm going to split it in half. First guy always goes in the first spot. So for this problem, what's the first guy? What's the leading term? 1x3, right? There's a 1 in front, right? There's a 1 in front here and stuff like that. So you don't have to write them, but just remember it. So x3, 1x3, right? There's a 1 here and there's a 1 there. Just remember that. Okay? You don't have to shade this one because just, if you need to, shade it, but it always goes in the front. You don't have to add anything with the first guy. Okay? So what number? So we need to multiply here. We need to multiply this guy times this guy has to make 1x3. So 1x2, good. Again, you don't have to write the 1, but you can if you want. and then multiply again. This guy times this guy is 2x squared, right? That's going to go down here. Start closing off the box a little bit. Okay, grab one of your colors. This guy plus this guy has to equal this guy. The two, they're green on mine. The two green guys have to equal 1x squared. When I add them together, right? When I combine like terms. So what number does the other green guy have to be? Negative 1. Good. Negative 1 x2. Because when I combine these like terms, they have to be positive 1x2. X3, where's X3? Right here? Yeah, up here? Yeah, X1, X3, yeah. I'm on the green now. I'm not doing the yellow yet anymore. Yeah, I'm on the green color. So the green, yeah. So the greens have to equal, when I combine like terms, they have to equal 1x2, okay? Okay, so now let's do some mental math. What number times 1x is going to make negative 1x squared? Negative 1x, good. Negative 1x, oops, different color, sorry. Good. Negative x, negative 1x, however you want to write it. Then I multiply negative 1x times positive 2, negative 2x. Close off that part of the box. Grab another color. This guy plus this guy has to make the next one, negative 10x. So when I add negative 2x plus something, it has to be negative 10x. What is that something going to be? Negative 8, yeah, it's going to be negative 8 because I'm already at negative 2. Add more negative, negative 8 to make negative 10. So it's going to be negative 8x. Or 1x times what makes negative 8x? Negative 8. Negative 8 times 2, negative 16, right? Why did I write that color? Close the box. Now we're in the remainder zone. Now we're in the remainder column. So our box is done. That's the box right here. It was a 2 by 3. The remainder column. How do I know it's the remainder column? This is how I know. You see how the red was 1x squared? And then negative 1x? And then negative 8? I had 2 powers, 1 power, no power. Can I go any lower than that? No. I can't go any lower than no powers, right? So that's when I know it's the remainder column. Okay? Okay, last one. I got to make negative 16 plus something equal negative 16. So what, negative 16 plus what? 0, right? Doesn't need to change. If it doesn't need to change, it's just 0 like it was on the first one. Plus 0. Done. Okay, so let's write our answer down. X squared, or 1x squared, minus x minus 8. No remainder, so I don't have to write anything for a remainder. And you're done. The only thing that's going to change on the other side is we're going to get remainders on the other side. The other side's going to have some remainders, and some of the boxes will be bigger. That's it. Everything else is pretty much the same. I'm not changing any of the steps in there. You're still going to shade. You're still going to do all that good stuff. All right? Okay, so let's look at number 3. So I'll give you a hint. Anytime the question says, if there is a remainder, it's probably going to have a remainder. Not always, but most likely it's going to have a remainder. The first two questions didn't say that, didn't have that last sentence. Okay? And all this is saying is, if you get a remainder, write it as a fraction. That's all it's saying. If you get a remainder, write it as a fraction. Okay? All right, so let's start with building our box. What's going to go to the left of the box? 3x minus 2, right? So that's a binomial, so I'm going to cut it in half. What's going to go in the first spot? 6x cubed, 6x3, yep. Good. Multiply. 3x times what makes 6x cubed? 2x, 2. Yep, to the second power, good. 2 times negative 2 makes negative 4x squared. Close off that section of the box. Let's go to the next one. So take here another color. This guy plus this guy have to equal negative 13x squared. So when I combine like terms, when I combine the greens, they have to equal negative 13x2. So do some mental math here. What number will that be? Negative 9. Good. Negative 9. Okay. Now let's do some multiplying. 3 times what makes negative 9? Negative 3. Good. How many powers of x do I need to make x squared? Just one power. Good. Negative 3 times negative 2 makes positive 6x. Close the box. Okay, let's do it again. We're halfway done. Another color. This guy plus this guy need to make negative 15x. So 6 plus what number? Not negative 9, because one's a positive, one's a negative. So I would make negative 3. It's got to be a big negative. Negative 21, right? Negative 21. There you go. Guessing and checking is okay. Like if you're like putting numbers there and you're like, that doesn't make sense, erase them. And then put the right number. Okay. So here, 3 times what makes negative 21? Negative 7, right? I don't need any more x's. Right? Don't need any more x's since I already have one over here. And then the last one is going to be 14, right? Positive 14. That is the end of the box. How did I know that was the end of the box? How did I know to close off the box and we're done with it? Because there's no more powers, right? Everything else, I'm not done with the problem, but I'm done with the box. Everything else is going to be considered a remainder. So this is the remainder column now. Okay, last color. This guy plus this guy needs to make this guy. Now they don't match, so I'm going to have a remainder. I'm definitely going to have a remainder. So 14 plus what makes 21? 7. So positive 7 is my remainder. Okay, so how do I write this? Well, the first part's going to stay the same. The first part is going to stay the same. 2x squared minus 3x minus 7, right? But I had a remainder, and it said write it as a fraction. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to say plus, and then I'm going to write a fraction. Remainder goes on top. What was my remainder? 7, right? Positive 7. On bottom goes this guy here. It's called the divisor. That goes on bottom. 3x minus 2. Now you're done. Just like that. If you have a remainder, that's always going to go on the bottom. If you don't have a remainder, you don't need that. We didn't do that last time because we didn't have a remainder. That's the only difference when you have a remainder. Okay? Okay, so let's do number 4. Number 4, we're going to need a bigger box because the divisor is 3 terms, 4x squared plus 5x minus 5. So just need more space. Same as always, just need more space. Okay. So the divisor is over here. So that's 4, 4x squared plus 5x minus 5. So it's got 3 terms. So I got to divide it into 3 sections. Everything's the same. First guy goes in the first spot. First term. (12x4) is going to go in the first spot. Okay. What goes above 12x4? What's going to need to multiply? 3x2, right? 3x2. Then I multiply this guy times this guy, and I get 15x3. Then I multiply this guy times this guy, and I get negative 15x2. Close off that section of the box. Okay. Take one of your colors. We got to make 11x3. So these two guys here are going to add to make 11x3, positive 11. So what do I need to add by? Subtract by 4, right? 4. Add a negative 4 or subtract 4. It's same idea. Okay. So this guy times this guy makes negative 4x cubed. So I need a, what is that, negative 1x? Negative 1x, or just negative x. And then I multiply this guy times this guy, and I get negative 5x squared. And then I multiply this guy times this guy, and I get positive 5x. Okay. Close off that section of the box. Okay, next one. This is where it's going to get a little bit different. You notice how the next one's x squared, right? Well, I have 2x squareds here, negative 15 and negative 5, and I'm also going to have a third one over here. So there's actually 3 numbers that are going to be added together, not just 2 this time. 3 numbers. So negative 15 plus negative 5 make negative 20. So negative 20 plus what makes negative 4? Positive 16, right? It's going to make positive 16. Okay. So let's put positive 16x squared. Okay. 4 times 4 Make 16. I don't need any more x's because I already have x squared, and I need to make x squared. 4 times 5 is 20, x. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Close that section of the box. Remember, I'm actually done, right? We're done with the box because there's no more x values, right? X squared, x, 4, we're done. So we're done with the box. So the only thing left is the remainder column. The remainder column. Okay, so 17. The next one is 17x. This guy plus this guy plus this guy have to make 17x. So yeah, it's going to be negative 8. Yeah, 20 plus 5 is 25. So I got to go subtract. So yeah, negative 8. Negative 8x. Now I don't have to do any more multiplying because this is the remainder column, right? So I'm done there. So the last step is negative 10. What number has to go there to make negative 10? So positive 10 is going to be here. So our remainder is actually negative 8x plus 10. Negative 8x plus 10. So last thing, write it. How are we going to write it? Well, we're going to start the same way we did. Same way we've always done it, right? 3x squared minus 1x plus 4, and then we have a remainder, right? So if we have a remainder, you're going to have a fraction. So what was our remainder? That goes on top. Divisor goes on the bottom. Divisor goes on the bottom. 4x squared plus 5x minus 5. The only time we don't need that part is when there's no remainder. If there is a remainder, it needs to go at the end, like a fraction. Okay? Okay? The only difference between the last two problems, so look at number 5 and number 6. Do you see the word divide at all? Is the word divide or division, any of that stuff on there? No. How do we know we need to divide, though? How do we know 5 and 6 we need to divide? What gives it away? Oh, the word is divide there. Divide is there. What other word, though, is a giveaway for divide? Remainder. The only time you get a remainder is when you divide. So this question, all they want is the remainder. That's all they want. But how do you get a remainder if you don't divide? Yeah. Okay, how do you get a remainder if you don't divide, right? I don't know, so we got to divide. Okay? Okay, so if we're going to divide, let's set up a box. X plus 4 goes on the outside, so it's just a binomial this time. What do we start with? 3x4, yeah, 3x4. That part hasn't changed. It's always the same. All right, so what number do I need to multiply? Because this is 1x, right? This is 1x there. So it's got to be a 3x3 now. And then positive 12x3. Okay. Marker? This guy plus this guy need to make what? Close. Not 5. 1 is closer. 0. Has to be 0. Why does it have to be 0? Why do those green guys have to make a 0? I don't see 0 anywhere there. Because, yeah, they skipped them, right? They didn't write. Look at the starting equation, 3x4, and then it skips x3, x2, x. Then it goes right to 5, right? Those are there, they just didn't write them. So if they didn't write them, they're zeros. So this one is supposed to be written like this. That's how it was supposed to be written. Because those parts are missing, right? So be careful there. If they miss a part, write them, make sure you write them down. If they skip any, because it needs to be in order, and if they skip it, we need to write it down. So the yellow guy was in the front. We did that part already. Now those guys need to add up to be, the greens need to add up to be 0. So what number is going to go in the missing spot? Negative 12, good. Negative 12x3, good. Multiply, we get negative 12x2. And then we get negative 48x2. Okay, close that section of the box. Next color, get another color. Needs to be those two. Need to be this guy, x squared. They're x squareds. So what number plus negative 48 makes 0? 48x2. So that's going to be positive 48x, right? Multiply. 48 times 4 is 192. 192. Close that section of the box. Okay. Another color. Next color. 192 plus something equals 0. Negative 192. X. So this is going to be negative 192. Negative 192 times 4 is negative 768. Close off the box, finish it, you're done with the box. The last column is remainder column. Okay, last color. Negative 768 plus something makes 5 now. Now we're to 5. So negative 768 it's negative. 5 is positive. So that means I got to go above it. So what's 5 more than 768? 773. Yep, 773. Done. Now, we're not going to put all of it in there. They didn't want that. What did they want? They just wanted the remainder. So we're just going to write the remainder. What is the remainder? 773. That's it. Just want the remainder. Yeah, you don't have to put the over part. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to put the over part. They just wanted the remainder. When you're writing it as an answer, put the fraction. But when you're writing it just as a remainder, yeah, just put that. Okay? All right, so what I want you to do now is do number 6. Find the remainder. Find the remainder for number 6. And then we're done. Okay. So is there any missing terms for number 6? There is one missing term. So make sure you fill that in with a 0. If you're still working, I'm just going to start. But if you get stuck, then you can look up here. But if you don't get stuck, you're good. So 5x3, it was missing an x squared, so I had to include that. So let's see, this is a 1, so it's going to be a 5x2. And then this is going to be 5x2. Close. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Next color. Those need to make 0. So those are going to be negative 5x2. Negative 5x. Negative 5x. Close the box. These two, oops, I forgot to highlight that, need to make 1. So negative 5 plus what makes 1? Positive 6x, yep, positive 6x. Multiply, so you get positive 6, positive 6. Our box is done, so we close it off here. We're not done with the problem, but we're done with the box because I ran out of x's. X squared, x, 6. So then last column is going to be my remainder column. Shade, shade. So negative 6 plus what number makes negative, or sorry, positive 6 plus what number makes negative 2? Negative 8, yep. That's our remainder. Okay. All right. All right, so tape that into page 15 and we'll do some practice on Monday.